Now to an ITeam exclusive, science being put to the test. A legal battle over new DNA evidence in a 1993 murder case is unfolding right now in a Queens courtroom. The outcome could have an impact on post-conviction cases nationwide. News 4 investigative reporter Sarah Wallace joining us now with this story. Sarah.
Well, and Stacey, you're right. The outcome of this hearing will determine whether or not a man who served 26 years in prison will have his conviction overturned. The case is also raising much wider question. Whose science is the most credible? And are there other defendants out there who've been falsely told their DNA evidence was lost in Superstorm Sandy?
52-year-old Michael Robinson is back in the same Queens courthouse where prosecutors charged him with viciously stabbing to death his ex-wife Gwendolyn Samuels in 1993. This time, the paroled convicted murderer believes science may help him finally clear his name.
The best way I knew to clear my name was try to fight and get myself out.
The former correction officer gets emotional when he talks about his unceasing battle from inside prison with the support of his family on the outside. His mom and dad both died while Robinson was behind bars for 26 years.
My parents, they fought for me every day. I didn't want to die in prison. For something I didn't do.
The police investigation closed in one day.
Robinson was convicted based on a single identification by an 89-year-old woman with questionable eyesight who lived at a home here in Bayside. Samuels worked for her as a home health aide.
A later review by a defense expert of the witness's medical records determined she was legally blind at the time of the assault. The attacker also stabbed her, but she survived. And even though police vouched forensic evidence, DNA testing wasn't on anyone's radar then. When it started clearing defendants in other cases years later, Robinson started filing Freedom of Information requests. He hit pay dirt.
Lo and behold, there was a lab report in there.
Evidence collected in 1993 from a fingernail scraping, along with blood samples from the victim's sweater.
That piece of paper was my freedom.
But the DA's office opposed DNA testing, and Judge Stephen Knopf refused to order it. A higher court said it should be done. More roadblocks by prosecutors.
They claim that the evidence had been destroyed by Superstorm Sandy.
Legal aid's Howard Ferguson says the DA's office came up with one excuse after another. First saying the evidence was in the NYPD Erie Basin warehouse in Red Hook, Brooklyn, and was washed away or contaminated.
And that wasn't true either. That it was always in the medical examiner's office, and clearly no one had truly looked for this.
That's right, in the office of the medical examiner, finally located in 2017. The DA's office provided no explanation except to tell the ITeam it was believed the sweater and fingernail scrapings were inside an evidence barrel, rendered inaccessible.
It makes you wonder how many cases they say that the evidence has been destroyed when it hasn't.
I think that's absolutely true, and I think all of those cases need to be re-examined.
As for that testing, the medical examiner's lab said the results were inconclusive, but a private forensic firm, Cybergenetics, hired by legal aid, found very definitive DNA. That's the same company the city hired to identify 9/11 terror victims. Their chief scientist testified in court that the chances of Robinson's DNA being under the victim's fingernails was 1 in 1.8 trillion.
It excludes Mr. Robinson, and we know someone else's DNA is under the victim's fingernails, and that person is the real killer.
Prosecutors are standing by the conviction. So is the family of Gwendolyn Samuels.
Michael is the killer. Michael is. Because my sister always told her, if we ever found her dead, Michael did it.
I feel sorry for their loss. I'm not the one who committed the crime against their loved one. This DNA proves that.
It could be months before the judge decides whether or not to vacate the conviction. By then, there will be a new DA in office. The Democratic nominee and frontrunner, Melinda Katz, has promised to review convictions like Robinson's involving single eyewitnesses.
All right, a precedent-setting case.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, Sarah.
Thank you for watching this video from NBC4 New York. You can subscribe by tapping the button below me, and on the left you can see our latest updates, investigations, and digital exclusives. We'll see you next time.